Hi everyone, my name is Irina Davila. The topic I'm going to talk about are subsidies. First of all, what subsidies are? They are financial aid that a person or entity receives from an official organization to satisfy a specific need. 16 subsidies are currently enforced, twice the amount that existed 9 years ago. During the years of higher state revenues, such as 2008 and 2010, between 21 and 32 subsidies were delivered, respectively. Over time, some have been eliminated from the budget, such as flour, the purchase of road equipment, urban transport, such as floor, the purchase of road equipment of urban transport, with the latter, which amounted to 49 million, such as floor, the purchase of road equipment of urban transport, with the latter, which amounted to 49 million per year. The increase in tickets has been avoided, but since this year it came out of the budget and it was up to the municipalities to grant or not the benefit. Although the subsidy for the electric sector still exists, since this year, it is no longer a direct transfer from the central government, but it is in charge of public companies. Therefore, this subsidy of sum of 43 million per year does not appear in the budget either. Meanwhile, the tax transfer for housing was focused on the cost of the property. Currently, it is up to 40,000, and the jet fuel subsidy for airlines was adjusted twice. The states give generalized subsidies, that is, those that benefit the entire population, even those with high economic resources, such as fuels. 49% total subsidies plans for this year correspond for the purchase of derivatives. Ecuador's fuel subsidies cost its government billions of dollars a year. The 89% cooking gas subsidy only applies to tanks sold for residential use. Industrial propane and other liquid petroleum gas sells an international price. Well, the next topic I'm going to talk about is country risk. Country risk is the level of probability that a country fails to comply with its obligation in foreign currency. Its rating depends, to a large extent, direct foreign investments, each nation, and consequently, economics and social development. Country risk is an index that attempts to measure the level of risk that a country entails for foreign investments. Investors, when making their choices of where and how to invest, seek to maximize their profits, but also take into account the risk. That is, the probability that the gains are less than expected or that are losses. In statistical terms, earnings are usually measured by the expected return, and the risk by the standard deviation of the expected return. Due to the large amount of information available and the cost of obtaining it, to problems for imperfect information and information asymmetries, and mainly to the fact that it's impossible to guess the future. It is impossible to know exactly what is the expected yield and the standard deviation of an investment. However, to reduce the cost of obtaining the information, taking advantage of the economies of scale existing in the search of information, indexes are developed. The country risk index is simplified indicator of the situation of a country which international investors use as an additional element when making their decisions. Country risk is a simplified and imperfect indicator of the situation of an economy. Is a surcharge that a country pays for its bonds in relation to the rate paid by the United States Treasury. That is to say, it is the difference that exists between the yield of a public title issued by the national government and title of a similar characteristic issued by the Treasury of the United States. The country risk index is an index that is calculated by different financial entities, generally international risk rating agencies. The best known are Moody's, Standard & Poor's, and JP Morgan. There are also companies that calculate country risks such as Euromoney or institutional investors. Each of them has its own method, but they usually reach similar results.
Good night, my name is Mayra Arteaga. I'll talk about interest rates. The interest rate is the percent of principal charged by the lender for the use of the money. The principal is the amount of money lent. Banks pay you an interest rate or deposit because they borrow that money from you. Anyone can lend me money and charge interest, but it's usually banks. They use deposit from savings or checking accounts to fund loans. They pay interest rates to convince. From savings or checking account to fund loans, they pay interest rates to convince people to make deposits. Banks charge borrowers a little higher interest rate than they pay depositors so they can profit. At the same time, banks compete with each other for depositors and borrowers. The competition keeps interest rate now ranked.
Pausa.
How do interest rates work? The interest rate is applied to the total paid portion of your loan or credit card balance. It's important to know what your interest rate is and how much it adds to your outstanding debt. For example, if you pay less than the interest rate, your debt will increase even though you are making payments. Although interest rates are very competitive, they are the same. A bank will charge higher interest rate if the dips, there's lower chance the debt will get repaid. Some topic of loan, the credit cards are always assigned higher interest rate because they are more expensive to manage. Banks also share higher rate of people they consider risks. That's why it's important to know what your credit score is and how to improve it. The higher you score, the lower the interest rate you will have to pay.
Tres.
Banks can share fixed rates of variable rates, depending on whether the loan is mortgaged. Credit card or paid bill. Here how these interest rates are determined. Interest rate drives economic growth. A country central bank sets interest rate is the United States, the Fed funds rate in the leading rate. Is what banks share each other for overnight loans. The Federal Reserve requires banks to maintain 10% of total deposits in reserve each night. Otherwise, they would lend out every single penny they have. That would allow enough of the buffer of the next days withdrawals. The Fed funds rate affects the national money supply and thus the health of the economy. Interest rates make loans more expensive. When interest rates are high, fewer people and businesses can afford to borrow. That's lower the amount of credit available to fund purchase, slowing consumer demand. At the same time, it encourages more people to save because they receive more on their savings rate.
Pausa.
Able to expand businesses. Struggling supply is reduction in liquidity slow the economy. Low interest rate has the opposite effect on the economy. Low mortgage rates have the same effect as lower housing prices. Stimulated demand for real estate saving rate fall. With savers feeling they get less interest on their deposits. They make decision to spend more. They make hosts put their money into slightly riskier, but more profitable investment. They drive food stock price, low interest rates make business loans more affordable. That encourages business expansion and new jobs. If they provide so many benefits, why would you keep rates low all the time? For the most part, the government and Fed prefer low interest rates, but low interest rate can cause inflation. If there is too much liquidity, the demand outstrips supply and price risks. That is one of the two causes of inflation. If there is too much liquidity, the demand outstrips supply and price rise. That's just one of the two causes of inflation. Thank you.
My name is Javier Sanchez. I will talk about travelers' rules. For information on the rules of the traveler in Ecuador, visit the custom page in the city's service section option for travelers. We will find that it's divided into two parts. The first for travelers by air and the second for travelers by land. Travelers by air. What are personal effects? Are those goods that accompany the passenger or family group, provide that their amount or value cannot be considered commercial, and that they are exempt for payment of tax to foreign trade, tariffs, surcharges, and the presentation of authorizations, permits, licenses, and import records. What goods are considered personal effects? The following items, whether new or used, are considered as personal effects of the passenger: clothing, toiletries, grooming items, jewelry, custom jewelry, personal ornaments, and home decoration. Processed foods, properly sealed or vacuum packed. Food and articles for children. The instruments, equipment, and portable tools, typical of the profession or trade of the passenger, whether new or used, provide that this work activity is justified through the professional card. Costume for artists, theater, companies, circus, sports, or the other use. Medication must be accompanied by their respective national or foreign medical prescription. For the case of food supplements, maximum 4 kg. Apparatus for measuring blood pressure, temperature, and glucose, maximum 2 for each per passenger or family group. Campaign equipment per passenger or family group. Suitcases, bags, or other items used to transport luggage. Compact discs of video. Suitcases, bags, or other items used to transport luggage. Compact discs of video, music, or data that can be transported normally by a person. Toys and more accessories. In the case of passenger or family group is in possession of more units than those indicated in the preceding list. They will be considered taxable goods, therefore its value will be part of the taxable by part of the tax obligation. In addition, up to 1 unit, new or used, of the following items are considered as personal effects. TV up to liter for cosmetic use, whose value does not exceed 300. Binoculars, telescopic, projection apparatus, and or screen for domestic use. Telephone or fax or drone. Land. They are personal effects that accompany the individual traveler or family group, considered as long as their quantity or value cannot be considered commercial. The following items, whether new or used: clothing for the traveler use, toiletries, grooming items, costume, jewelry, personal ornaments and decoration for the home, books, magazines, photographic material, and printed documents. Processed foods, properly sealed or vacuum packed. Good for professional use, tools and equipment need to perform functions or what activities of the traveler. Only tools that are portable, a situation that must be justified by a work card. Medicine for the personal use. Medication containing psychotropic substances must be accompanied by their respective medical prescription. Technical aid for disabled travelers such as wheelchairs, crutches, braces, orthopedic, and the like. Blood pressure, temperature, and glucose meter. Campaign equipment, suitcase, bag, other items used to transport luggage. Video, music, or data storage units. To like domestic animal aspect. Notwithstanding complying with the corresponding health requirements. Domestic animals aspect. Notwithstanding complying with the corresponding health requirements. Thank you.
My name is Aranti Chanda. I will talk about the taxes in Ecuador. First, definition about taxes. The tax is a tribute or burden that individuals living in a particular community or country must pay the state, so that through the payment and without exercising any type of consideration as a result of it can finance their expenses in a current instance and also according to the order of priorities that the drives and promoters. Element of the tax. The most important element of the tax are the subject, active subject, and taxpayer. The object, the sources, the tax base, the fee, and the rate or rate. Each of these is who has the right to demand the payment of taxes. In the current case, there are active subjects, the state, the municipality, the provincial council, and other organs and institutions of the public sector, with prerogative for the collection of taxes, all of them recognized exclusively in the law. The second, passive subject. It is every psychical, natural, or legal person that has the obligation to pay taxes in the term established activity or thing that the law indicates as the reason for the tax, in such a way that is considered as a taxable event. About sources, it refers to the amount of goods or wealth of a natural person or where the necessary amount for the payment of taxes come from, so that the sources turn out to be the capital and work. About taxable base, is a taxable amount on which the amount of the tax is determined. For example, the amount of the income received the normal leader produces, the annual income of the taxable part. A specific or monetary tax is considered according to the law to fix the amount of the tax. For example, 1 kilogram of sand, a liter of oil, an American dollar, etc. Classification of tax. They are classified as direct and indirect tax. Are those that affect the will of the taxpayer, directly taxing income from work, capital, and income. They are characterized because they pay personally they impose manifestation of the will of the taxpayer, such as income or assets. They are classified in income and sport. The income is in the income of money, special or service obtained by natural or legal person annually or periodically from the exercise of an economic activity. About sport, we think the income from Ecuadorian sources are taxes, and they are. Indirect taxes, they are those that are established in the term of production, consumption, and exchange. It is now who really pays them, as it happens with consumption. These taxes are irregular and accidental. For example, the value added tax called IVA. They are classified in import, consumption and production, real taxes, internal taxes, and external tax. It is a tax that must be paid on income product of personal, commercial, industrial, agricultural activities, and in general activity, economic, and even free income received during the year. After discounting the costs and expenses incurred to obtain or retain such income. Economic effect. The income tax directly affects income of the taxpayer, which generates a rejection in the taxpayer because it's a non-refundable money that is paid to the state, so that is complied with its obligations as proposed that are on. They produce a variation of the behavior of the economic agent in having lent for such power, which causes restriction in the acquisition of goods and services. IVA is an indirect tax that the tax the transfer of tangible personal property and the rendering of service, and also taxes the importation by all kin of citizens. Economic effects of VAT. VAT being the tax of greater weight in the state collection in Ecuador. The state, through the SRE revenue service, seeks to expand the capacity of taxpayers and finance the fiscal coffers. But the new policy affect both the consumer and the productive apparatus in the different stages with cause reception in the market. About tax of special consumption, called ICE in Ecuador, is an indirect tax of economic significance. It's levying on alcoholic products, cigarette, vehicles, and other sumptuaries that are personal use. The ICE special consumption that is applied to goods and services of national or imported origin, detailed in Art 82 of the Organic Law of International Tax Regime, called LORTI. Economic effects of ICE. The ICE being an indirect tax, the tax burden is paid by the final consumer. Also, it has been categorized as tax on luxury goods, or cigarettes and liquor. Direct affect consumers of the different goods loaded with this tax and producers that import or produce in the country. The tax has undergone many modifications. Because of this, if natural, the has undergone many modifications. Economic policy of each government has changed the value of imposition on included goods or services, as for example in the fixed telephone consumption. Thank you.
We hope this information has been useful for you. It will help us to take decisions in our further works. We should take advantage of this information and consider that it is national and international aspects we should consider and see before making business.